Hey, what's going on, Senpai, and welcome to another Let It Die video. BouseFeenux here, and today I wanted to walk you through your first major challenge in Let It Die, the 10th floor boss fight against Max of DoD Arms. Now, just like everything else in this game, Max's character design and backstory are pretty over the top. As a kid, Max was an avid tinkerer and inventor, and one day, he decided he'd be a lot more efficient if he were to cut his arms off and bolt them onto his head, because, I mean, that's the obvious solution, right? He then created a pair of robot arms for his body and was pretty much good to go. After that, he created the DIY or Die hardware shop, which is DoD for short if you didn't catch that. He then drew in a gang of some pretty nasty people to help him defend his turf. The rest, as they say, is history, and now Max controls the first 10 floors of the Tower of Barbs and stands as the first real challenge for would-be adventurers planning on reaching the top of the tower. So let's talk about the fight itself. Firstly, you should know that this fight is divided into two phases. In the first phase, you'll have to make it to the front of a train car by jumping between two separate moving trains at various points. This is actually the most difficult part of the fight. At the start of all this though, Uncle Death warns you that falling off the train spells certain death. This is kind of misleading, as falling off the train doesn't actually kill you. If you fall at any point during your push to the front, you'll simply just be returned to the beginning and have to start all over again. Beware though, because any of the enemies or traps that kill you will still count as a normal death. If you're the agile type, you can run from the back to the front of the train without fighting anything because, remember, the same traps and obstacles that can stop you can also stop enemies. Just be super careful that you don't get stuck somewhere because some of the more persistent enemies can corner you and stun lock you into oblivion. If this happens and you think you're about to die, just jump off the edge of the train if you can. You'll start back at the beginning of the train, but at least you won't lose a fighter. As a final note on this part, be on the lookout for haters because several of them can and will spawn on the train ride at various intervals, and if they're high enough level, they can seriously throw a wrench in your progress. Anyway, moving on to the fight itself, we see that Max ditches his weak-looking body in favor of a giant flesh golem mech thing with drill arms. Wonderful. Don't panic though, because this fight isn't as difficult as it looks like it'll be. It's almost like the devs are counting on you to be stressed out from the train ride before this, but stay frosty. If you fought Cohen a few times, this fight is almost identical. The main difference is that Max has a few extra attacks that I've only seen him use pretty rarely. The main one you'll see is the drill shot. If you're far enough away, he'll shoot his drill arm at you, which stun locks your character for a few seconds and can do quite a bit of damage. Or like Cohen, he'll do a shoulder charge that covers a lot of ground. If you're quick on your feet though, these attacks aren't much of a problem. His main attacks though are the 1-2 punch that Cohen does and the quadruple ground slam. Both of these attacks have enormous tells and are fairly easily avoided. Just don't get caught in the ground slam because it can throw you into the edge of the electrified arena and do a ton of damage. It's also good to note here that this electrified edge can damage Max as well. If he gets caught here, it stuns him, allowing you to get a bunch of hits in. If you have decent weapons, this boss is pretty much a pushover. I also recommend going at him with a melee character because ranged weapons can be difficult to use in the small arena, and Max can close the gap between you and him quite quickly. His attacks also have a surprising amount of reach, so definitely watch out. Get your hits in and back off when he's about to attack, and you should be good to go. After defeating Max, you'll get the 10th floor stamp and be treated to a short cutscene and dropped off at the escalator to the next set of floors. You'll also unlock the next tier of fighters that are capable of reaching level 50. Also, if your nerves are shot after this fight, don't worry too much because there's an elevator you can use right after you reach the next floor. But that's about it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by smashing that like button down below. It helps me out a ton here on YouTube. Also, if you're new here, consider subscribing for more Let It Die content. Until next time, though, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.